Thank you very much for making a date. This is the marketplace. You're welcome back. Now, government has begun engaging investors outside the country over plans to raise $2.5 billion. Unlike previous engagements for the Eurobond, the Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta and his team are planning to raise some funds at the end of the exercise. It will happen after it closes the deal next week. There's more in this report.
The engagement will start with investors in London. Then they move to New York, California, and Boston, and back to London by next week. Sources say the government is hopeful of closing the deal in London by next week, where it hopes to raise the targeted amount at the time. Government is hoping to use part of the funds to clear the previous bonds that are maturing, while the remaining will be used for infrastructure projects outlined in the budget. For many, the challenge will be the cost or rate in raising the funds when government finally closes the deal. Economist Peter Quarte is expecting some good rate for government.
For the interest rate, currently our ratings are slightly favorable, so I don't expect it to go beyond 8%. At most, it should be 8.5%.
But government insists it has laid the right foundation to secure a good rate during the roadshow. Kweku Kwatin is Deputy Finance Minister.
We would like to engage the market and to get the best available price for the bonds that we're going to issue. But we consider that our macro economy now has sufficient pedigree to get us better rates than we have done in the past, and that is what we are pursuing.
Sources close to the transaction say they are looking at closing the deal at around 7%. For some, a lot of things are happening that could ensure that government gets a good rate at the end of the roadshow. One can talk about the positive IMF board statement on the economy and even the decision by the U.S. Federal Reserve yesterday to keep their lending rate unchanged, a development that could result in some investors being more moderate in how they price their funds as they lend to government.
Now, after several postponements, the mobile interoperability is now set to be launched next week by the Vice President, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. This would allow subscribers to send mobile money across all platforms without any challenge. Let's now get some understanding on how crucial this service is to the development of the entire financial system.
As one of the groundbreaking services that will transform the entire financial sector. It is a collaboration between the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System GIPS, the telcos, and the financial institutions. It is expected to aid the country's plan of moving towards an era where little fiscal cash is used to pay for transactions, or better still, a cash-light society. According to GIPS, all is set for the service to take off after the launch by the Vice President. The mobile money interoperability is, however, only the first phase of a bigger project that will ensure on all platforms that the public can transfer funds from their bank accounts to mobile money networks as well as to eSwish cards.
Now, in other stories, the Bank of Ghana is expected to lay before Parliament a bancassurance bill aimed at facilitating the provision of insurance services by various banks in the country by the year 2018, by the end of 2018. That's according to the Director of Payments and Systems at the Central Bank, Dr. Seto Amediku. He said the act, if passed into law, will not only improve financial inclusion, but also broaden the insurance penetration rate in the country. He was speaking to Joy Business on the sidelines of the Pan-African Bancassurance and Alternative Distribution Conference under the theme, Innovate or Die.
Our overall objective is to deepen the payment and the financial systems. And what we did was to propose a bill to Parliament, the Payment System and Services Bill. And this bill is to encourage partnership among banks and then insurance companies. Now, through collaboration between the National Insurance Commission and the Bank of Ghana, we have allowed the airtime that people have on their phones to access health insurance. And you could see that the latest data we have over 4.5 million of our people who have access to health insurance. These are people who have common sickness like malaria, but they have no access to funds. But through Bancassurance and taking an insurance with as low as 1 Ghana cedi, they were able to pay some premium and they were able to get access to health facilities.
You also said that it's possible to help boost the financial inclusion, especially in the...
Yes, especially in the rural areas. After the passage of the bill, we expect to see more collaborations among the insurance company, banks, and fintechs, where insurance penetration can be deepened. Currently, as we are aware, most Ghanaians only take the motor insurance, which is compulsory by law. But life and the health is an area that needs to be deepened, so our people can have access to insurance products. So through the bill, we expect more collaboration between the insurance company and the banking sector and the mobile money operators, whereby people who don't have access to this insurance company, through mobile phones, they can take insurance and then do what? In times of need, they can fall on this.
Finally, when is the law expected to be passed?
Currently, it's before Parliament, and where it is outside the control of the central bank. So we believe that as Parliament pushes it to Parliament, as Cabinet pushes it to Parliament, we expect it to be passed, and then we expect to see all these synergies taking place in the payment system.
Thank you very much.
Let's do some more stories within the financial industry. And Board of Directors of Cal Bank says they have not recommended payment of dividends to shareholders for the 2017 financial year. This was disclosed by the chairman of the board, Rock Van Persie, at the bank's annual general meeting in Accra. He says, as a substitute, the board has rather recommended a bonus issue of 1 share for every 7 shares held. It is expected to compensate shareholders for not receiving a direct cash dividend and at the same time providing value to the bank for income surplus transfer.
My income surplus to our share capital. That should take us up immediately to 350 million. The rest of the 50 million we expect to be able to make up in the course of this year. So by the end of this year, we will have all 400 million capitalization required.
You also did mention that some weaker banks have been, approaching you. On what specifically have you approaching? Have there been any major, or acquisition discussions?
Well, no, there are no discussions at all at this stage. It's just a matter of inquiry. Obviously, there are 30-something banks in this country, and we're all not at the same level. Some are stronger, others are weaker. And obviously, it's pretty clear that some may not be able to meet the minimum capitalization before the end of the year. We're not in talks with any bank at this stage. There's just been off-the-cuff discussions, so there's nothing really to report at this stage. Out of the operations of this year, already as at the end of the March, we had in excess of 310 million in income surplus. Yeah. So by the end of this year, or by even the end of the second quarter, we'll have more than enough to be able to transfer.
You're watching the Marketplace live on Joy News. Turning our attention now to the telecom sector, and some mobile money merchants are kicking against plans by MTN Ghana to introduce self-providing mobile money machines. The merchants, who are part of a group called Mobile Money Advocacy, says the plan, when executed, will push them out of business. The telecoms giant is currently rolling out the self-service kiosk on a pilot base and insists it is only restricted to buying airtime and SIM card recharges.
When they were bringing the ATM, they did not consult anybody because at first we did not have any association. But now that we have an association, they have to sit down with us to talk 1 or 2 things and amend some of the things, because the ATM they are bringing is going to bring some of the merchants out. As they are saying, they said it's not going to take them out of business. But we are here to put 1 or 2 things, go to Bank of Ghana and know what to do. We are not here to stop technology. The ATMs can be placed at the ShopRites and the supermarkets around. But I don't believe ATM can be placed around Kofodia, Konko. That place is a place, the network there is very bad. So I believe there is something that can be done. So they should come again. Even though they are saying it's not going to take out of business, they should come again.
Okay. Currently, there's an introduction of ATM, which the telecos are saying is not a threat. However, it's a threat because if that ATM is to come to being, it's going to render us redundant, and we are not going to make in our 10 city, 2 city, 3 city that we normally use to meet our daily needs. Therefore, we are using this medium to point it to the government and the telecos that thing they are trying to bring it. However, they are saying it is not a threat. It's a threat. Therefore, the government should step in so that our works should be prevailed. Our coins that will be getting should be preserved so that we'll also be making a living.
All right, so the merchants were venting out their concerns at the just ended May Day celebration at the Independence Square. Meanwhile, a section of the public has also been expressing mixed reactions to this decision by the MTN.
It's good. It's good for me. Only that, you know, when machines begins to be introduced, now the human face aspect begins to diminish. So it means that people are going to lose their businesses because, you know, the mobile one, the human one also provide a lot of employment for a lot of people. That is where my fear is. But looking at the other side of the coin, it is a perfect idea because here you wouldn't have the issue of somebody keying a wrong number where your money will go somewhere else and that kind of stuff. So it's a good idea, but
my thought is good. It's okay for the system to be used because it will save us from this kind of robbery, and people will be monitoring you when going to the vendor to take money, and they will be watching you where you are passing. They will just trace you up to go and rob. I think this will be very better enough.
I don't think it can help us. Maybe some of us like that, maybe we cannot do things our own. So if the machine did there, I cannot go and tell the machine to do that thing for me. So if I come with the person is there, I just give him my detail, everything. He just done it perfect for me to go. So this machine cannot help me.
From my point of view, I think doing the mobile money as in a form of ATM is good though, but for me, where I live, there is a Vodafone agent behind me. Doing the ATM mobile money at Malata, I can't walk from my house to Malata, even maybe if I'm sick. So for the agents around me, I can just walk nearby to do my cashing out.
It is going to take a lot of people out of business because the MTN, I know, had actually created a lot of employment, and when this machine comes, then it means that businesses are not going to function.
But banking consultant Nana Utue-Champong believes the establishment of mobile kiosks by telecom giant MTN will not disrupt operations of traditional banks. Speaking to Joy Business, Nana Utue-Champong says the advent of the mobile money kiosk will rather boost confidence in mobile money transactions.
I see it as complementary. Let's establish the fact that MTN is in the telecom industry, regulated by the NCA, and the banks are in the banking industry, regulated by Bank of Ghana. The ground rule is that if you are in an industry such as telecom and you want to cross over to the banking sector, you need the prior approval of the regulator. On top of that, you have to partner an existing financial institution, in which case a universal bank. My investigation establishes that the telco, i.e. MTN, has already applied together with an existing universal bank for that product to be launched. But what is in the system now, I believe, is 3 prototypes. And before you launch any product, is inside for that, you have a pilot basis to test it. So it's on pilot basis to see whether it will work. If it doesn't work, then your investment is a sunk cost and you write it off. If it works, then you proceed to launch it formally. And so to the best of my knowledge, that is what the situation is. But at all times, the telcos are complementary to the banking sector. After all, when they take the monies from the wallets, where do they store them? They store them in the banks. They don't store them under some pillow somewhere.
All right, so this also brings to bear the second question, whether or not the establishment of these kiosks could have a rippling effect on traditional banks.
Directly, no. Indirectly, tangential, in the sense that the bulk of the people that probably that product will be targeting will be those who are outside the banking sector anyway. Because come 10th of May, GIPS, the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System, is launching a product, which is the final product called interoperability, which allows all the systems to connect seamlessly. As if you have an MTN phone, you can call Vodafone and vice versa. So the same way, if you have a bank account, you'll be able to use your bank account to transfer money into your mobile wallet. But those who be using it will be probably the high-end ones using their bank account. But the majority that use mobile money will still continue to use the mobile money. So I think it doesn't have any direct effect. Indirectly, maybe one or two casualties.
So with the establishment of these kiosks, do you think it could be inimical to government's financial inclusion agenda?
I don't think so, because those who want to come into the system will come in, but there will still be those on the peripheries whose probably savings or quantum money is safe.
The Ghana Revenue Authority, GRA, in the Ashanti region is anticipating increased revenue by the end of the year. In 2017, statistics indicate the region contributed only 4% of the total revenues collected annually. To enhance its tax collection systems and to spearhead tax education, the GRA has engaged the Information Service Division and the National Commission for Civic Education. The Ashanti Commissioner of the GRA, Samuel Sechidodu, says the initiative is yielding positive results.
At this year's press soiree in Kumasi, the Ghana Revenue Authority interacted with the media on new tax policies and how to educate the public of them. Questions on a tax identification number and the excise duties were paramount among media persons. Assistant Commissioner of the GRA in the region, Samuel Sechidodu, reviewed how the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, has helped to spearhead the tax education in rural areas. He is impressed how the initiative is yielding positive results.
We use the Foreign Service Department and the National Council for Civic Education. When the Foreign Service vans go around the whole country, the nooks and corners of the country, they spread out messages. So when GRA is not in every office or every constituency or every, so the Foreign Service carry our message across the country to nooks and corners of the country. Now, National Council for Civic Education, they are the political committee. They are supposed to teach on people's civic responsibilities. Now, taxation is a civic responsibility to every citizen. So they are also moving from market to church to various social activities to tell people what tax is about and what tax is for them and why they should all pay their taxes. So they are also helping us. So we are collaborating with information and the national. So I believe this year will make big strides in Ashanti region.
After the launch of the Tax Identification Week, the authority initiated registration of institutions and companies in the region. Mr. Sechidodu says the intensified education has increased voluntary tax compliance.
Just before we finish, Korean University invited us to go and register 4,000 staff, and we're going to do that one. Kumfanochi wants us to come and register 3,000 staff. We are moving there. Some of the staff will register all the banks in Kumasi. They are still in the field trying to register all the bank workers. And then Cocoa or something, they call it. In fact, today I got another letter from SNIT. Those who wanted to come. It's like now we are going organization. We're going to register all the workers. So I'm sure by the end of the year, create phenomena. The response is last year we did some amount of work, and this year we are intensifying it, and we believe we can see changes, we can see it moving. People who are paying 300,000 now are paying 4,000. You see the improvement. I mean, people are paying higher figures now, and people are cooperating, people willingly come to our office. See, people also call you, they want to understand, they want to know, they want to. So we invite them and they come, and people are also.
And back here in Accra, the Managing Director of Biochemical Products Ghana Limited, Professor Sami Saki, has encouraged young entrepreneurs to inculcate the habit of nursing seedlings for plantain and banana cultivation. The company, which develops suckers using the tissue culture technique, believes the enterprise could prove profitable for young people who are looking to explore gaps in the agribusiness sector. Joy News' Athlete Arthur reports.
Plantain, banana, yam, and cassava are major food crops in Ghana. Often, farmers have to save parts of the crops to replant, but the challenge is that farmers are unlikely to get appreciable yields or desired traits for the crops if they use this method. With the tissue culture technique, however, scientists say they are able to develop disease-free varieties of major food crops that do not produce seeds. When cells or tissues of such crops are exposed to the appropriate chemical and physical conditions, they grow and multiply, creating genetically identical plants. For more than 10 years, the Biochemical Products Ghana Limited at Ningo Prampram in the Greater Accra region has been reproducing suckers for banana and plantain varieties like Apem and Apintu using the tissue culture technique. The unavailability of space to accommodate the thousands of suckers developed, though, has been a problem. The company's managing director, Professor Sami Saki, believes there are great prospects in nursing plantain and banana seedlings and is urging participants of the Cosmos Agrotech Challenge to take it up.
You as young people, when I hear about 84,000 young graduates going to look for 500 jobs at immigration, I think, what are we doing? Because
And on that note, we wrap up this edition of The Marketplace. Many thanks for watching. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon.